There are various philosophical foundations on education, and various proponents or personalities emphasizes why and how should the educational process should be and could inculcate the new knowledge to the learner all throughout the learning process. But today, I have chosen the constructivism philosophical theory and its main proponent in the person of John Piaget stresses how he becomes the major proponent of this movement. John William Fritz Piaget was a philosopher from Switzerland. He was also a natural scientist that was famous for the work that he did studying cognitive development and learning theories encompassed in his view of genetic epistemology. At the young age of 11, he attended high school at Switzerland Latin, wherein one of his short pieces was the start of his scientific career. Piaget's theory of constructivism impacts learning curriculum because teachers have to make a curriculum plan which enhances their students' logical and conceptual growth. Teacher must put emphasis on the significant role that experiences or connections with the adjoining atmosphere play in student education. For example, teacher must bear in mind the role of those fundamental concepts such as the permanence of objects plays when it comes to establishing cognitive structure. Piaget's theory of constructivism argues that people produce knowledge and form meaning based upon their experiences. Piaget's theory covered learning theories, teaching methods, and education reform. Two of the key components which create the construction of an individual's new knowledge are accommodation and assimilation. Talking about assimilation, it states that assimilating causes an individual to incorporate new experiences into the old experiences. This causes the individual to develop new outlooks, rethink what were once misunderstandings, and evaluate what is important, ultimately altering their perceptions. Whereas accommodation is reframing the world and new experiences into the mental capacity already present. Individuals conceive a particular fashion in which the world operates. When things do not operate within the context, they must accommodate and reframing the expectations with the outcome. Apart from learning theories, Piaget's theory of constructivism addresses how learning actually occurs, not focusing on what influences learning. The role of teachers is very important. Instead of giving a lecture, the teacher in this theory function as facilitators whose role is to aid the student when it comes to their own understanding. This takes away focus from the teacher and lecture and puts it upon the student and their learning. The resources and lesson plans that must be initiated for this learning theory take a very different approach toward traditional learning as well. Instead of telling, the teacher must begin asking. Instead of answering questions that only align with their curriculum, the facilitator in this case must make it so that the student comes to the conclusion on their own understanding without being told. Also, teachers are continually in conversation with the students, creating the learning experience that is open to new directions depending upon the needs of the student as the learning progresses. Teachers following Piaget's theory of constructivism must challenge the student by making them effective critical thinkers and not being merely a teacher but also a mentor, a consultant, and a coach. Some strategies for teacher include having students working together and aiding to answer one another's question. Another strategy includes designing one student as the expert on a subject and having them teach the class. Finally, allowing students to work in groups or peers and research controversial topics which they must then represent to the class. So those are the strategies that teacher must come up to in this type of theory, the Piaget's theory of constructivism. For the last word coming from John Piaget himself, and I quote, teaching means creating situations where students can be discovered. Thank you very much.